The winning blueprint presents.
Draft Zone.
Welcome. You're in the Draft Zone. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the 2013 NFL Draft Wrap-Up. And what we aim to do here in this segment is break down the draft of every team in the National Football League. We look at the picks that were made, where they were made, how they were made, and how these picks will impact that particular team in the 2013 season and moving forward. In today's program, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that really didn't accomplish what they set out to in the 2012 season. And so the draft is going to be a huge part of what is going to help the Steelers get back to the postseason and back to one of the perennial powerhouse teams in the National Football League. And so we'll look at the Steelers draft, break it down using our grading scale. And of course, we always use a baseball grading scale here in the Draft Zone. Single, double, triple, home run. There are no strikeouts here on this 2013 NFL Draft Wrap-Up, as you can never tell what one of these players, if any, are going to pan out. And so you can't give them a strikeout based off of their production at college, because they could have done nothing at college, come into the league and explode. Or it could be vice versa. They could have been ultra productive in college and do nothing in the league. You can't say what they aren't going to do. And one team's trash is another team's treasure. What one team sees as a fourth round selection, another team might see as a second round selection. And so teams vary on the grades that they have on players. And so you can't really say for sure or not, because in a team's mind, they might not have reached for a player. The other team might have said, whoa, that's a big reach. We might say, oh, wait a minute, that's a huge reach. But that team may have graded that player out very highly and felt like at that pick, that was great value. And so there are no strikeouts here. So without any further ado, let's get to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll grade them out, each individual pick, look at the player, the pick, how it was made, where it was made, how it will impact the team, give them a grade, get an aggregate score after we collect all the grades from each and every single draft pick, and give the Pittsburgh Steelers overall one nice solid grade. That's how it works. I've got my draft board behind me. Handy dandy pointer present. Let's get to the draft board and do some work. So now you look at the Steelers. And let's look at the needs first before we jump into the draft of the Steelers. And you look at linebacker. We know James Harrison no longer there. They had a tough time staying healthy. Harrison and Woodley both injured last year. They need production out of their linebackers. They need guys to get pressure. That's a huge need. You look at receiver. No more Mike Wallace. So that huge element of speed. You still have Antonio Brown. You still have Emmanuel Sanders. But that huge element of speed that Mike Wallace brought to the table, gone. So you need more receiver help. Cornerback. You lose Keenan Lewis to the Saints in free agency. You need cornerback help. You have a lot of young corners on your roster, yet you still could use more help. Safety. We all know the struggles the Steelers had at the safety position last year. Polamalu dealt with injuries. It really was a non-factor in the 2012 season. Ryan Clark getting up there in age, still a very dominant force back there for you. However, you could use more help at the safety position. Troy Polamalu and Ryan Clark aren't going to play forever. You need someone that can be mentored under those two safeties while they're still around playing at a relatively high level. You need a safety. Defensive line. Steelers love rotating in new defensive linemen. Casey Hampton, no longer there. You need more beef up front. Defensive line is definitely a need for the Steelers. So you look at this team, you look at this draft board, round, pick, player, position, school. We'll go through each pick, grade them out, and we'll come up with an overall grade for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We start in the first round. Steelers pick at 17. They select Jarvis Jones, linebacker out of Georgia. You guys smell that? What is that smell? Smells like a Pittsburgh Steelers pick. That's what it smells like. Jarvis Jones is the ideal Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker. Doesn't get more Steelers than that selection. And this was a no-brainer. At the top of the draft, we heard all along, if he's there, the Steelers are taking him. And what did the Steelers do? Stay true to form. They took Jarvis Jones. He was there at 17. They selected him. This is a Steelers pick at its core. A guy that can get after the quarterback. Everyone bailed on Jarvis Jones. We were talking about Jarvis Jones potentially being the #1 overall pick in this draft after the conclusion of the college football season. This guy was highly touted, highly rated. After the medical and the stenosis, that scared people away. He ran at his pro day, ran a 4.9. That scared people away. Steelers were not swayed at all. They were cleared on the medical. They felt good about where he stood with the stenosis. They could care less about the 4.9 40. They watched the tape. 14 sacks doesn't lie in the SEC. We're talking about the likes of LSU, Florida, Georgia, Alabama. 14 sacks doesn't lie. And so, Jarvis Jones got it done. He got it done at a big-time program. The 4.9 40, yeah, he's not going to run 40 yards that often. That's why I don't make a lot out of 40 times for defensive ends, outside linebackers. I want the explosion. I want to see your 110 split. What is that? Show me the vertical. Show me the broad jump. Show me explosion. Jarvis Jones has that. So, is he the strongest guy at the point of attack? No. Could he get in the weight room and get stronger? Heck yeah, definitely. But his short area quickness, second to none. Steelers need a guy that can get after the quarterback. Jarvis Jones can get after the quarterback. He looks like a Steeler. This pick smells like a Steeler. Jarvis Jones is a Steeler in the first round, 17th overall selection, linebacker out of Georgia. To me, this is a home run because the Steelers got their guy. He fits what they're trying to do. It fits a need, and he's going to come in right away, and I think he's going to start. They said they're going to make him work for that starting spot. I think he's going to come in, and he's going to be your day one starter in Pittsburgh at one of those outside linebacker positions opposite Lamar Woodley. I think this is a home run. You got your guy, and it's a huge need that is met for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the form of Jarvis Jones. So we take a look at the needs board. You get Jarvis Jones, outside linebacker / defensive end. Let's go ahead and take that linebacker off of the needs list right away. So we move on to the second round. Pick 48, running back out of Michigan State, Le'Veon Bell. Just by my face, you can tell I'm not very enamored with this pick. Here's why. Le'Veon Bell was a bell cow, for lack of a better term, and no pun intended, but he was a bell cow at Michigan State. In the last 2 seasons, this guy had well over 200 carries. I'm thinking this guy might have had over 300 carries in either one or both of those seasons. They fed him the football an awful lot in college. There's a lot of tread off of these tires already. These tires aren't bald. He's a young man. But coming into the league, they used him an awful lot at Michigan State. That's number one. Number two, no speed at all whatsoever here. If you're looking for speed, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're not getting it here with Le'Veon Bell at 48 in the second round. Not getting it. This is a 4'6", 40 guy right here. You know what you're getting. He's tough. He's an in-between-the-tackles runner. But guess what? The Steelers already have like 5 of those guys on their roster. What is Jonathan Dwyer? The same kind of back as Le'Veon Bell. What is Isaac Redman? The same kind of back as Le'Veon Bell. Isaac Redman brings different facets to the table. He has different elements and layers to his game that these other backs don't possess. But he's no faster than these guys. None of these backs out of the backfield for the Steelers have any speed. I wanted speed here. Jonathan Franklin here. Someone that could change the game out of the backfield for the Steelers. He's the same type of back the Steelers always have. He's the same type of back the Steelers already have. He's the same type of back the Steelers always put on the football field. Rashard Mendenhall was the same guy. The Steelers need speed. They went that route with Chris Rainey. It did not work. I understand that. You let him go. I understand. However, you need speed, a change of pace back. Le'Veon Bell is not that. To me, this pick is a double. It's a solid pick. He's a solid back. You're going to get production out of him. But he doesn't change the game for you. He's not a game-changing back. He's just solid. And the Steelers already had those backs on their roster. In Redmond and Dwyer, you needed speed here. You got power instead, which is what the Steelers already have. Double for me in the second round, pick 48, running back out of Michigan State, Le'Veon Bell. Now we go to the third round, pick 79, wide receiver out of Oregon State, Marcus Wheaton. Look, I just talked about speed. Here it is. Speed! Now, I wanted it out of the backfield for the Steelers. They need a change of pace out of the backfield. They got plenty of speed at receiver. Emmanuel Sanders, he's not slow. Antonio Brown, we know what Antonio Brown is once he gets the football in his hands. They lost Mike Wallace. Here comes his replacement in Marcus Wheaton. High production at Oregon State. This guy can fly. We're talking about a 4'4", 40 guy here in Wheaton. Very skilled. Can make all the plays on the field. Can separate from defenders. He's 5'11", so he's not overly tall, but again, that's average height for a receiver in this league. You get the ball in his hands and you forget about the height. Get him the football. He can make things happen. I think Marcus Wheaton is a great selection, especially for a team losing a guy like Mike Wallace, looking to upgrade the speed on the team. You don't know what's going to happen with Emmanuel Sanders down the road. This guy can step in, help you address that receiver position. I love the pick. I think this is a triple here in the third round with Marcus Wheaton, receiver out of Oregon State. He's going to come in and help you right away. He's an NFL-ready receiver, very polished. You work him in the slot, I think, is where his value is greatest. And you put him in, you let him work in the slot. He's going to be a mismatch for most corners in the slot and definitely safeties around the league. So I think Marcus Wheaton is a guy that can really get it done for you at the receiver position if used correctly. And I think he's going to give you the most value in the slot. You look at your fourth round selection, 111. This is a pick that you got from the Miami Dolphins. To me, the most underrated player probably in this draft. At least my most underrated player in this draft. Safety out of Syracuse, Shamarko Thomas. I call him dynamite. The human dynamite. Because he's explosive. He's explosive. Boom! There goes the dynamite. Small package, tightly wound. We're talking about 5'8", 5'9" safety. Very small, tightly wound package. But boy, does it pack one heck of a punch. Boom! Tough acting to Tenactin. Shamarko Thomas. Okay? I call him dynamite because, again, 5'9", very short, but very explosive. We're talking about 4'4", 40 type of guy at the safety position. So he can drop down into the slot and cover the slot receiver at the safety position. We're talking a guy that's not afraid to stick his helmet in someone's chest and blow him up. Boom! Dynamite. We're talking about a guy that's explosive at the combine. Over 40-inch vertical leap. Over 11 in the broad jump. Explosion. Boom! There goes the dynamite. Shamarko Thomas. So this is why I call him dynamite. The human dynamite. Because this guy is small. It's a small, tightly wrapped package. But when you unleash him and he blows, look out. Someone's going to get hit. Someone's going to pay. And he's going to be running around the field like a madman. He is a missile. He is explosive. He is Shamarko Thomas. And if you're the Steelers, this is a great heir apparent to your safeties that you have in Troy Polamalu and Ryan Clark. Add him to the list, in the long list, in the lineage of great safeties in Pittsburgh. Shamarko Thomas is going to pick up where your current safeties leave off. And if you want, he doesn't have to play right away. You still got Polamalu. You still got Clark. Work this guy in nice and slow. Take your time. Allow him to learn the nuances of the safety position behind two of the best to do it in this league. And then when you unleash this guy on the league, look out. I love this pick. To me, home run! You can put it on the board. Steelers. It's a home run in the 4th round. Pick 111. Safety out of Syracuse, Shamarko Thomas. Boom! There goes the dynamite. So we look at the needs board after those two selections. You get Marcus Wheaton, receiver out of Oregon State in the 3rd round. So we'll take that off the needs list. You look at safety. We just talked about young dynamite, Shamarko Thomas. He's a safety. We take that off the needs list as well. And so we're down to 2 needs. We move to the 4th round again. 4 picks from your previous pick at 111. We pick in the 4th round at 115. Steelers select quarterback out of Oklahoma, Landry Jones. Landry Jones. Good old Landry Jones. Problem I have with Landry Jones is that he got exposed in college. After his sophomore year, this guy was hot. Hot like fire. Fire. If he would have come out after his sophomore year, this guy might have been the #1 pick overall in the draft. I mean, this guy was piping hot after he took over for Sam Bradford. He could do no wrong. But this is one of those cautionary tales of staying around in college too long. Sometimes you stay around and you show the scouts, hey, this is what I can do. You didn't even know I could do this. I have another layer and another facet of my game that you weren't even aware of. And I just unveiled that to you. So now I'm of more worth to you now, so more than ever. But that's rare. Normally what happens, and it happened to Landry Jones, it happened to Matt Barkley as well. You stay in college too long, you get exposed. Sometimes too much of something is not a good thing. And in this case, Landry Jones hung around in college. And what happened was the talent around him diminished. When that talent started to dwindle, we saw the true Landry Jones. It's always easy and it's always all good when everything is all good. Hey, I can stand in the pocket when it's clean and fire a dart 15 yards down the field. What happens when that pressure starts to mount? When teams start collapsing that pocket? What happened to Landry Jones was turnovers, panicking. we saw a very irrational quarterback. One that could not handle the pressure of leading a team to victory when it was on his shoulders and the pocket wasn't clean. And so he was never an athlete to begin with, but we were willing to overlook that. That wasn't an issue for us because Landry Jones was extremely accurate. He did not turn over the football, and he was a winner. But the minute he started losing, he started turning the football over and making irrational decisions. All of a sudden now, oh yeah, by the way, he's not athletic. And so they threw that into the mix as well. And so all of a sudden you go from a first-round quarterback to a fourth-round quarterback. Now, I'm not saying that Landry Jones isn't deserving of a draft pick. I think this is a wonderful pick. And he got drafted exactly where he was supposed to go. In the fourth round at pick 115 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Landry Jones is a guy that when the pocket is clean, he's a smooth operator. He'll deliver the football. He'll throw darts. He's extremely accurate. When the pocket is squeaky clean, Landry Jones is your man. The problem is in the National Football League, the pocket is rarely that. The pocket collapses. You got to have phone booth mobility. You have to have pocket awareness. And sometimes I'm not sure if Landry Jones has either one of those. I know you're not running 15 yards down the field. On 3rd and 7, I don't want Landry Jones having to scramble for 8 yards in that first down. Not asking him to do that. What I am asking him to do, though, is in the pocket, when there's trash and garbage around, shuffle those feet, reset, throw a dart. Can he do that? I'm not sure, but guess what? If you're a Steelers fan, he doesn't have to play for the next 3 to 4 years because Ben Roethlisberger is your quarterback now and will be for at least the next 3 or 4 seasons. Now, if Ben Roethlisberger doesn't try to play He-Man, doesn't get a concussion, he can sit and watch a la Aaron Rodgers, learn the nuances of the quarterback position, and boom, you got yourself a really good quarterback. However, if Ben Roethlisberger wants to continue to run around, play backyard football, which is all he really knows, then Landry Jones might be playing a lot sooner than you want him to. But if Todd Haley continues to do what he did last year, which is the quick 3-step drop, get the football out of Ben Roethlisberger's hands type of offense, Landry Jones can sit and watch, learn the quarterback position. Maybe when you stick him in the game, he'll be ready to rock and roll. You get a good offensive line around this guy, Landry Jones can throw it with the best of them. To me, in the 4th round at pick 115, the quarterback out of Oklahoma, Landry Jones, is a triple. So I said all of that to say this. Landry Jones is a really good quarterback that when given time and space in the pocket can deliver the football. And if the Steelers can do that, and if he has time to mature behind Ben Roethlisberger, you got yourself a gem in the 4th round in the form of Landry Jones, quarterback out of Oklahoma. So now we're in the 5th round. Pick 150, cornerback out of Illinois, Terry Hawthorne. Now, Hawthorne, solid corner. 6 feet, long, looks like a Pittsburgh Steeler. About 195 to 200 pounds, solid, not afraid to tackle, will make plays on the football. Is he a natural hands catcher of the football? Probably not. But he will make plays on the football. He's not afraid to tackle. He gives you extra value in the returns game if you want to send him back there to return punts. But you have enough athletes, Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Marcus Wheaton, that a guy like Terry Hawthorne doesn't have to return punts for you. So I don't see him giving you the value there. But at the cornerback position, here's a guy that you can coach up. And in a year or two, maybe he's ready to start. Opposite a guy like William Gay. Opposite a guy like Ike Taylor. Ike Taylor's getting up there in age. I don't know how long he's going to be able to continue to play at a high level. You got William Gay back. He didn't play well at Arizona. Maybe he comes back to Pittsburgh and plays really well. You've got a couple of other young corners that you seem to like. Maybe you throw him in the mix and maybe he comes out as one of your better ones. We'll see. I like Terry Hawthorne a lot. I think it's a solid selection at the cornerback position. He has the body type and the physical mentality of a Steeler. ready to tackle, is not afraid to mix it up. Physical, can jam you at the line of scrimmage, can play press coverage, can play off coverage, will look for the football and try to make a play on it. He has the demeanor of a Steelers corner. He has the hands of a Steelers corner. We know Steelers corners usually aren't the best catchers of the football. He fits right in. It's a solid pick. It's a double for me in the 5th round. Terry Hawthorne, cornerback out of Illinois. In the 5th round, you look at the 6th round, pick 186, Justin Brown, receiver out of Oklahoma. A lot of people are talking about Justin Brown as a guy that might not be able to cut it in the National Football League because of his lack of top-end speed. He's a 4'6", 40 guy. I don't care about that. No, I don't care. He's 6'3". 6'3", 215 pounds or so. 205, 210, 215, somewhere in there. 6'3". Big guy, big frame. You need that kind of presence on your football team. You know why? It's the exact reason why you went and got Plaxico Burress a season ago. Height, long arms, reach. Someone that in the red zone is a big target. You know what the problem has been for the Steelers over the last 3 or 4 seasons? No big red zone targets outside of Heath Miller. You know why Heath Miller has been so valuable for the Steelers? Because he's a guy that gets it done in the red zone. And oh, by the way, he's 6'5". You don't have any big targets to get the football to in the red zone. So when I see the Steelers draft a guy like Justin Brown, it makes perfectly good sense to me. You want a target that you can throw the football up to in the red zone, have him come down with it. He had one of his most productive years in college football last year in 2012. We're talking over 70 grabs, over 800 yards receiving. Solid production. So I don't care about the top end speed. That's not why you drafted him. You've got plenty of speed at the receiver position. You just drafted Marcus Wheaton. You still have Antonio Brown. Emmanuel Sanders is still on your roster. You have plenty of guys that can run after the catch. You just want a guy that's big that can catch it. Justin Brown gives you that option. Receiver out of Oklahoma. 6th round, pick 186. Double for the Steelers. Solid selection. Like the selection. So you go to the 6th round, and we're still in the 6th round, 206. This is a compensatory pick. Vince Williams, linebacker out of Florida State. This is a strictly depth pick. If he makes the roster, it'll be because he plays special teams and he gives you depth at the linebacker position. You're not drafting this guy to start. Not now, not down the road. This is a guy that you want for special teams and depth purposes. Can he start for you in a pinch? Sure. Do you want him to start for you at all? Absolutely not. Solid linebacker that's going to do everything you ask him to do. He was a key cog for the Florida State Seminoles at the linebacker position. But at the next level, I don't think he's athletically gifted enough to make a difference on a football team as a starter. Can you rotate him in? Sure. Can you ask him to be a down in, down out starter for you? I don't think so. He's a guy that if he gives you value on special teams, maybe he makes the roster. I think it's a long shot for Vince Williams. We'll see. But to me, it's a single at the back half of this draft for the Steelers in the 6th round. Vince Williams, linebacker out of Florida State. We finish up the draft for the Steelers in the 7th round. Pick 223, Nick Williams, defensive tackle out of Samford. Now, this is an upside guy. This is an upside pick. You pick a guy like Nick Williams at the back half of this draft, and you say, hey, if we can coach him up, if he can learn how to play the defensive tackle position, and the Steelers might push him inside at the nose, here's a guy that got better as his career went along at Samford. When he was given the starting duties in his junior season, he produced. When he was made the man in his senior year, he had his best season of his career in college. And so we're talking about a guy that got you 30 tackles from the defensive tackle spot, about 8 or 10 of them for losses, and then got you 6 sacks. So he got pressure on the quarterback as well. So here's a guy that is getting better. And the more learning and the more tutelage he receives, the better Nick Williams will be. I think he's in the right scheme and fit for his skill set. If coached up, if allowed to be brought along slowly, Nick Williams can be a force at the defensive tackle position for the Pittsburgh Steelers in that 3-4 defense. He's more athletic than you're used to for the Steelers. We've seen Casey Hampton be a big road grader in the middle of that defense for the Steelers over the last decade or so. Nick Williams, stark contrast. He's a guy that actually athletic and can move inside. And so you stick him in there, he can actually get in, knife in, and get in the backfield. Make some things happen. So if coached up, Nick Williams could be a problem at the defensive tackle position. I actually see this guy making the roster. If he comes in, works hard, works diligently, and flashes, I can see Nick Williams making this roster as depth along that defensive line. Don't be surprised if he, in fact, makes this roster. I think that's a double at the back end of this draft. That's a solid pick for the Steelers at the end of this draft, a guy that could give you some value down the road. So if you look at the draft as a whole for the Steelers, there's a lot of good selections here. It's a Steelers type of draft. I want to go ahead and clean up the needs board before we wrap this thing on up. In the 5th round, you get Terry Hawthorne, cornerback out of Illinois. You meet that need. With your final pick in the draft, you get Nick Williams, defensive tackle out of Samford. And so you clean up every single need that you have on your board. Well done by the Steelers. I really love what they were able to do, a good mixture of players here. A little disappointed by the Le'Veon Bell pick. I thought that this Vince Williams pick could have been a more athletic tight end maybe to supplement Heath Miller. We know he's getting up there in age. Could have used another guy. He's coming off of an ACL tear as well. Remember, Heath Miller did not complete the season, tore his ACL at the latter stages of the season. And so you got to start preparing for the future. I thought a tight end down here maybe could have helped you out a little bit. But it's nor here nor there. At the end of the day, you look at Jarvis Jones, home run. Le'Veon Bell, 2nd round pick, double. Marcus Wheaton, receiver, 3rd round, triple. Shamarko Thomas, safety in the 4th round, to me is a home run. 4th round, Landry Jones, quarterback, triple. Cornerback, Terry Hawthorne in the 5th round, that's a double. Justin Brown, receiver in the 6th round, double. Vince Williams, linebacker in the 6th round, single. And Nick Williams, defensive tackle in the 7th round, rounds out the draft at a double. You average these up, and you come out with a solid, smooth double for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very, very Steelers-like draft. They got it done. It's what you expect from the Steelers, a team that's really good at the draft game. They understand what Pittsburgh Steelers players look like. They draft them, they come in, and they produce for them. I think that every single player that I named on this list could come in and produce for the Steelers. I expect guys at the back half of this draft, like a Justin Brown, Vince, and Nick Williams, to struggle to make this roster, but I could see Nick Williams and Justin Brown both cracking this roster. The Steelers need height at receiver. If Justin Brown comes in and gives them a target that they can throw the football to and they feel comfortable getting him the ball, he's a guy that could stick on this roster. And Nick Williams, the upside is there. I think he could make this roster as well. From Terry Hawthorne up, I think that all of those guys are going to make this roster. I really feel confident that Terry Hawthorne is going to make this roster. I know Landry Jones and up, Thomas, Wheaton, Bell, Jones, all going to make the roster. Those are locks. But I think Jones is where the locks stop. But Hawthorne, I feel like, is a very, very good candidate to make this roster as well. And so you look at the Steelers, it's a double. Really solid draft for the Steelers. It's what they do. They're a professional grade NFL outfit. And so I've come to expect the Steelers to have drafts just like the one that they had in 2013. And that's going to do it for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2013 NFL Draft wrap-up.
Draft Zone.